Hi, welcome to Rewind, Stop, Fast Forward. I'm Nick.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Jared.
Today we're going to be looking at the Fallen series because the new one, Angel Has Fallen, comes out in a couple of days. So we're going to give our thoughts on Olympus Has Fallen and London Has Fallen today. Yep. We are also going to be looking at some movies that maybe are critically fairly poorly reviewed, but movies that we love, just because we want the chance to talk about some movies that we really like. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right, boys, let's dive straight into this and start talking about Olympus Has Fallen.
Olympus Has Fallen. Jordan, what did you think about Olympus Has Fallen?
I'm just going to categorize because I feel like both of them to me sit in a general space that I just call they're both fine. They're both just okay movies, but I don't think there's anything inherently bad about them, nor is there anything particularly great or good about them.
Yeah,
I don't know
fair.
if you guys agree or whether you think
I don't think they're absolutely horrible films. But yeah, I feel like the first one for me was stronger than Olympus Has Fallen was stronger than London Has Fallen.
I would agree with that personally.
I actually got sort of a Die Hard sort of feel from the first film.
Yeah,
definitely that's what they were going for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it worked really well.
Yeah. They've been designed as kind of throwback to like those 80s/90s action films.
Yeah.
Obviously ones where you have a pretty ludicrous story, and obviously your action hero who kind of can do like can't get harmed, like that kind of action movie.
Yeah.
And like in that sense, I suppose it works well enough for going for that genre of movie, but I don't think it particularly succeeds or is specifically exciting to me.
Yeah. Well, look, I had never seen these movies. The only reason that I watched them was because we're going to be looking at Angel Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Having said that, my expectation of the movies was so low that when I watched them, I was like, hey, not bad. Like, I actually thought they were quite good. They were like fairly well made. I mean, I feel like the only thing that was really consistently bad about them was the writing. And like even like the story writing, like the dialogue was like cheesy as fuck.
Yeah, I found the
that
dialogue
shit.
was very cheesy. There was a couple of scenes as well, like your classic American flag getting like burned or shot down and stuff. And then like at the end of the film, it's always like the "we will rise again" and they like lift the flag up. And for me, like that trope is just completely overdone. But in those moments, I couldn't help but be like,
it's that throwback. It's not like they're very self-aware that it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's exactly what those 90s action movies always did.
But I will disagree. I think that London Has Fallen, for me personally, was a better movie. I know, like, critically it's not as highly reviewed, but I had more issues. Like, there was more moments in the Olympus Has Fallen where I was sitting there going, wait, what? What?
Yeah.
Fuck? So I feel like as a result of that, London Has Fallen for me kind of had like less inconsistencies, and it meant that I enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
That's so we can go into a little bit of detail if you want.
One thing I think that definitely separates both films is the location that they're both set in, because Olympus Has Fallen is very much a enclosed location because it's set in the White House, so it's just all set within that one space. But London Has Fallen expands the scale to an entire city. But
it still feels very claustrophobic.
There's definitely moments that it does, but like I think on a whole, the whole aesthetic and choice to film it like at the White House kind of works better for the film for Olympus than it does for London, having it kind of expanded to a larger location for me. That's me personally.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, if you're comparing, because it's very much like Die Hard. I don't think that Die Hard got worse by expanding the location of the film to, like, outside of...
To me, though,
Nakatomi Towers,
obviously the first Die Hard is the best one, which is the one that's set in a one location type of thing. And even Die Hard 2 for the most part, because I believe it, like I prefer Die Hard 2. Like that's my second favorite of the Die Hard series. And that one is also set predominantly in one location. Yes, it kind of goes to different places, that one location, but it's still in a respect one location. But like Die Hard 3 and 4 are like city spanning.
Yeah, exactly.
Adventure. You know what
and
I mean?
that's why I feel like I have to agree with you. Like I wasn't as huge a fan as Die Hard 3 and 4 as I was. Like Die Hard 1 and 2 were my favorite, and I think it's simply because of the location that they're at as well.
Right.
Like,
okay.
yeah.
But
and that's why I wasn't a massive fan of London Has Fallen.
Because of location.
Yeah, I mean, like the location. There was a couple of other things in the film that really kind of threw me off as well. Like, just like the scale of the amount of people that were in this operation. Like,
I
this
think that was
terrorist
pretty
organization.
ludicrous.
There was like a lot of people. Like,
But, like-
you would think it would be like almost impossible for these people that are supposed to be like, you know, working with terrorists or previous terrorists in their life or something like that, to be able to infiltrate like the Queen's Guard in Buckingham Palace. You know, like that to me was like absolutely.
Yeah, but you got to hold
Massively.
both films to the same standard, and
That's another thing I was going to talk about
Yeah.
as well. In Olympus Has Fallen, the two problems that I had with Olympus Has Fallen was, one was the start of the film where they kind of had like they first started their assault. It's kind of odd that like it felt like to me that it was like a busload of people, like the Korean terrorists that got off the bus, and then by the end of it, I think they said something like that there was 50 or so of these terrorists in total that attacked like the White House, and I was like, they kind of came out of nowhere. Like they were, you know what I mean? Like it was that kind of like at the start of it, it looked like there were 10 to 15 people there, and then all of a sudden there was like an entire Korean terrorist army attacking the
Look,
White
with
House.
this kind of film though, like you don't really read into kind of those types of things. Like from my perspective, because again, the type of story is the type of film it is. You just kind of accept it, and I suppose that's what they design it with the idea in mind. That you know,
I think
they can just
that-
do what they want because you know
well, the thing I want to say, because I think that London Has Fallen built tension better before everything went to shit. So like when they were like all kind of, each world leader was in their own like little area doing their own thing.
True.
And you weren't sure where the strike was going to happen, but you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
There were the crowds and that little girl with the flower. I was like, this is actually doing a pretty good job at
it was actually a decent
putting
setup,
me on the edge of my seat, which I don't think Olympus Has Fallen had that same effect at all.
But I suppose
But when the climax occurred and like all the fucking terrorists came out of nowhere, it wasn't a worthwhile payoff, but I was like, the tension building itself
I agree.
was really good. I was super impressed.
yeah. I feel like one thing that separates the two films for me is that, I mean, when I was watching it, Olympus Has Fallen felt like it was more self-aware, that it was going for that kind of campy sort of tone. But I felt like London Has Fallen felt like it was being a bit more self-serious. Now, that may be me sort of
I do think that's a
interpreting that.
stretch, to be honest. Like,
In terms of how they handle, like, I feel like certain characters felt like they're in one movie, and then like Gerard Butler and Aaron Eckhart, for instance, felt like they knew what movie they were in, and they like were having fun with the kind of, you know, the film. But I just felt like that, to me, the way they're even setting up, the way that they play out the events, it felt like it was so straightforward that it wasn't really like they were embracing its campy nature. It felt to me like it was actually a bit more, that they were trying to take it a little bit more seriously.
but I have no issue with that either, because
But that's where I kind of run into some of the issues,
if
because
you
like
watch like Mission Impossible 1 and 2, for example, where the crew takes it very seriously in spite of the fact that both of those movies, one included, I know one's kind of critically received well, but they're campy.
Oh, yeah,
as
absolutely.
fuck. It's like, they're hard to watch now. I feel like even number one.
I haven't seen it honestly in a good
So
while.
I feel like making the effort, because you get to a point obviously where maybe you hit a right step, and then the trajectory of the franchise can move into something that maybe isn't quite so reliant on like 90s tropes, and you can move towards something that's going to be a little bit more like sophisticated.
Yeah.
Like we saw it with Fast and the Furious, franchises can change. And I think
absolutely.
that like maybe it does take 1 or 2 movies where you're like, they don't really know what they want to be.
Yeah.
But once they figure it out,
But I think,
hopefully,
but to me, like when
it does depend on what happens with this new one.
That's true.
But like, I'm more excited now than I was before watching these movies.
Yeah,
I thought that the trailer for Angel Has Fallen
it's not
is
great.
atrocious.
Yeah, it's
like
not
it
good.
is so bad. So I think that like at least having the kind of mental awareness of what's gonna like what to expect, I'm like, I actually could probably get on board with it, especially if they're like they want to make it a franchise that moving forward is maybe a little bit more serious.
Yeah,
I think they like.
I'm on board.
Yeah.
You never know what'll happen.
I know
That's
Gerard
true.
Butler said that he wants this to be the last film in like that franchise.
Yeah.
Right.
He said that in an interview. So
Okay.
well,
Well,
we'll
it
see if it
depends.
continues or
Yeah.
not. But
If they keep throwing money at him, he'll keep doing them.
yeah,
I'm sure.
absolutely. Like
Yeah.
if this film, if Angels Fallen receives well, then absolutely. I reckon they'll continue it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention that I really didn't like about Olympus Has Fallen was the whole, like, it was almost a direct rip-off of Die Hard where the old president's bodyguard who was a contractor for the South Korean Special Forces, he, like, used his relationship with... Is his name Mike Banning? Gerard Butler's character. Used his relationship with Mike Banning to kind of deceive him. But it lasted for
No time at all.
40 seconds on screen. Like he got out there and he was like, "Oh my god, you're still alive. We can take them down together." And he gave himself away
straight away.
1 minute later.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What's the point?"
Yeah.
And then like immediately after having a fight where they tried to kill each other and losing that fight,
he
he
helps him out,
changes sides. Like he
Yeah.
flip flops. He's like, "All right, you know what? You bested me, so I no longer." Hold the values of the South Korean or the North Koreans. So okay, I'll help you out. I was like, that is a joke. Like who wrote that? It's so bad.
that
But
was
then, like,
definitely-
it kind of
that
fades
pissed me
back
off.
into, like, again, they just embrace, like...
Don't say campy. That's lazy.
No,
That's
I
I'm-
agree with Nick.
I'm not saying I like it, but I'm just saying that, like...
But you're saying that it's
it's
based off of a
mindless.
90...
It's all mindless to me. That, like, I just kind of go with it. Like,
That's not an excusable... Like, that's not a reason for me to not hold them accountable for it being,
that's
like,
fair enough.
a reason that...
Fair enough.
Yeah, but, like, I feel like you're saying... like
Yeah.
Olympus Has Fallen is better, but
No,
I have
I'm-
to ignore this shit that happens.
I'm saying they just fully embrace what it is more so, and like you can just
But
have
what
so
it is doesn't necessarily need to be that. Like,
That's fair enough.
it can be cheesy, it can be corny, it can be based off 90s tropes,
Yeah.
but it doesn't need to be so, like, riddled with plot holes.
Yeah.
I have to
Like-
say, like, that guy's character
Oh yeah.
did absolutely
cool.
nothing for the
And
plot.
it was
the
so
movie at all.
annoying to me, and it was obviously like the setup of such like a major part of the film. The fact that he betrayed them, he
Yeah.
was at the start of the movie, and
it
then for
fizzled
that
into
to just like
nothing.
dissipate, I was like, that's bullshit.
Yeah. Fair
That
enough.
is like,
Yeah.
and I don't want to give the people who made the movie a pass for doing that,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like that's not the point of the
There-
movie. They
there
want to make
are-
an action movie.
There are so many things
So-
in both of these movies in the writing for me that just like is just I just shake my head at. Like, for example, like the whole plot of the first film, like how they're pulling the fleet out of the sea and like removing all of the US troops from South Korea and stuff.
Yeah.
I can guarantee in real life there is no way the US would do that just to save one president's life. Like there would be some sort of failsafe that's like, we're not leaving one of America's oldest allies at risk of being invaded for one. You know what I mean? For like one president. Like they'd find a new president and it would be all good. Like they'd just be like, let's just fucking blow it all up and kill everyone inside. Or at least attempt a rescue operation. If he dies, oh well. At least we're not losing an ally, letting hundreds of thousands of people die. Like, that was, for me, that was running through my thought before that whole, like, let's blow up America and make it a nuclear wasteland thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this would not happen. Like, they would not be negotiating with this guy at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that really
I
frustrated
feel like
me.
that
with the
you
first
have to
film.
buy into for the movie to work. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in terms of the scope, it's like it just adds to all of the other stuff that is like crappy writing that's just in these two films.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, if you're going to look at crappy writing, you got to look at all the crappy writing. And that was like probably the biggest for me. Like,
yeah.
I do like how Banning is a bit of more of like a savage than maybe like, you know, I was expecting. Like,
especially in London.
Oh, yeah, very violent. Yeah.
He's an aggressively violent.
I think that's the other thing as
like,
well. I wasn't expecting was both films were actually more violent. Like especially Olympus was more violent than I thought it was going to be.
Same.
Yeah.
Especially when you see movies like White House Down, which came out at the same time as Olympus Fall. I remember I went and saw that in the cinema, and the violence on that was like nowhere near compared to what it is in Olympus Has Fallen. Honestly, I really liked it. Like I really liked the excessive violence. I was like, this is good, you know. Like usually in a film like this, you'll get like it'll get an M rating. They
shy away from it,
it'll get an M rating for mature audiences, so they can get like 15-year-olds going and seeing it and stuff. But like the whole like swearing, and I think this is the same issue we had with Hobbs and Shaw. Like if there was a little bit more violence and a little bit more swearing and sort of like the humor and the thing, it would have made it a better film, but they toned that down for mature audiences, and they didn't do that in these two films, which was fantastic. I really liked.
I think I just want to point out two highlight scenes from both films to me. In Olympus Has Fallen, there was a scene in the bunker. There was I know the actress's name is Melissa Leo. She was like the female, I don't know what her role was, but it's when she was being tortured.
Madam Secretary.
Yeah. That was a pretty intense. I thought it was kind of a well sort of filmed intense moment like that in the film. Right. I don't know. Do you remember that?
See, I think like
to me that worked quite well.
That was pretty campy for me as well, because it's just like
I agree. Like I honestly believe that like in real life, if this was a real life situation,
but I'm not relating it to real life.
No, I know
based
that,
on what
like,
the film
this is what was running through my head when I was watching it, is that there is no way that these people would give up codes that are that important. They would just rather die. Like they would let other people die and let themselves be killed before they'd give this shit up.
It's hard to say, man. Do you honestly think if Donald Trump was in that safe?
Yeah, that's true. That's
but what I think it is, it's too much like we're going to show how stoic and like, you know, unbreakable the American will is. So like when an American's being beaten up, they remain silent until the president orders them to give up the code. I was like, fuck off.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Yeah. It was.
I understand what you mean.
cheesy.
That was a very intense scene.
I feel like just like based on how we're talking, like I feel like I've really just kind of shut my brain off when I've gone, because I know what these films are.
Yeah.
And because you guys, I feel like really kind of irked by certain things that the film does because of like, for certain reasons, like you're reading into it a bit
like
more.
I said, I still enjoyed them more than I thought. But to enjoy something in spite of the issues that I had, I mean, it goes to show that they're definitely not as bad as I thought they were.
Yeah,
same.
That's fair enough.
So, and like I said, I'm hoping that based on the trailer, this new one is more of like the Bourne, like an agent, a rogue agent on the run type of thing. And I feel like it has the potential to maybe be a little bit more serious, a little bit less campy.
Yeah.
Although I doubt it based on the trailers.
I'd rather them decide to go either full campy or go serious, like choose one or the other, because that's, again, like I think there's that bit of tonal imbalance in the London Has Fallen that I think was an issue that, like, at least even though Olympus may have had some of those flaws, because I knew exactly what it was from the beginning, you shut your brain off, you just enjoy it, you take it for what it is. It just gives you those moments. And yes, like, okay, you can read into certain character choices, but at the end of the day, like, it's not a kind of film that you read into. As far as I'm concerned, it's one that you just either you enjoy it and you take it for what it is, or you don't.
That's fair.
Yep.
Fair enough.
All right, well, I'm happy to like leave that general discussion there. That's kind of our general thoughts on London Has Fallen and Olympus Has Fallen. And we'll give you our thoughts on Angel Has Fallen in a few days.
Yeah.